Yo, what's going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new week, and welcome to a brand new Locals feature match. Here we are in round one. We have a Beetrooper deck on the right versus a Tri-Lyrilusc deck on the left. So yeah, gonna be a pretty interesting match. We haven't had Beetrooper on the channel in a long time, so when I was told that could be a possible feature match, I was like, you know what? Let's get the deck on there, especially since the player that is playing the deck as well, he's been playing it for quite some time, if I recall correctly. So definitely not new to the deck by any means. So yeah. Also, I just recently streamed a 5v5 team war between basically some of the best players in my city, Buffalo, versus some of the best players in Rochester, which is basically the town over, to settle kind of like a long rivalry that we've had. And I streamed that on Sunday, and I will be uploading the matches as well with commentary for those that didn't get to see it or want to see it with commentary. So be on the lookout for that. It was super fun, and we'll definitely be doing some runbacks in the future to determine who is the true champion of Western New York in terms of team wars anyway. So we're going to see Beetrooper start things off here with Sting into Pin, and then he'll go ahead and link into the Armor Horn. Of course, Pin effect will burn for 200. Then going into the Arbalest using the additional normal effect of the Armor Horn, that'll bring back the Sting, and then we're going to see him go for Pico. Pico will target the Armor Horn to attempt to equip it with an insect from the deck. Obviously going to try to get access to Resonance Insect, which is like one of the best cards in the entire deck, for sure. And our Tri-Lyrilusc player is going to go ahead and fire an Imperm on that, keep him off that card. It'll definitely generate a lot of advantage. And then we're going to see him go for the Invincible Atlas. It's been a little while since I've commentated over this deck, so I'm starting just now remember some of the names of these cards and what they do. We're going to see him activate Invincible Atlas to go ahead and tribute an insect on the field to summon out I almost said Insector, different insect deck. To summon a Beetrooper monster from the deck, we'll see him go for the Scout Buggy, and that will summon another copy of itself, allowing for a rank 3 play into that of a Cicada King, which the only reason I recognize or know what this card does remotely is because I used to play it in Speedroid, which there will be an update to Speedroid. I know I get a lot of comments ever since the Rodon got banned, but I just haven't had time to test with the deck. New seasons of Rogue to High Raider are going to be featuring a bunch of different decks: Earth Machine, Speedroid, Marincess. So just be on the lookout for that. We'll get these things rolling. I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to throw you guys a half-assed profile for a deck that I honestly don't feel super confident in. So I'm kind of testing a whole bunch of different decks right now. To try to get them as good as they possibly can, right? Push them to their absolute limit as far as like a rogue deck can go. But Cicada King, just a monster negate here. Yeah, so we're also going to see our Tri-Lyrilusc player start with the Bird Call that will get ashed, and then we're going to see him go for Warbler into Kit into Farragut. Kit will dump the Nerval. Nerval will go ahead and add a Fractal from deck to hand now. We'll see him go ahead. We've already seen him exhaust a normal summon. So Farragut is technically like the only way to play right now by getting a name out of hand. And Cicada King will attempt to negate target a face-up monster in the field negates effects. And that will get hit with Droplet. If that Droplet wasn't there, honestly, I feel like our Tri-Brigade player doesn't really have too much of a play. Just because, once the normal summon is exhausted and your extender in the form of Farragut or Carras is exhausted, the deck really struggles to do much past that. And yeah, especially since he's low on cards, he kind of needed that droplet to go through there. And obviously it does. And then we're going to see, looks like on the resolution of Farragut effect, we're going to see the activation of Sting Lancer to go ahead and target a monster in each player's grave, or a monster or a card, I believe. I think it has to be a monster. And then put them each to their respective decks to the bottom. And then when it's special summoned, I believe, it can go ahead and add a Beetrooper spell or trap from the deck to the hand. I think he added the field spell, Beetrooper Formation, which I think it acts like a monster reborn. But you take damage equal to the monster that you special summon back. And I think if a Beetrooper monster you control is destroyed or something, you get to summon a token. So it kind of helps with what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, recovery, I guess. Yeah, if a face-up insect monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, summon it 1 Beetrooper token, level 3, 1,000. So he did lose one name engraved due to the Sting Lancer, but it's probably just not high impact enough, because he could still even just banish 2, go for Bear, and then go into an Appaloosa play, or he could just go into, Hraesvelgr, the Desperate Doom Eagle, which also works. So I mean, this could be like an Axis code line. It could also just be a Shureg line here, going for the Doom Eagle to just clear something out of the opponent's grave that he might not want him to have access to on the following turn. So prioritizing that, it seems like here. So we're going to see him go for either a Link 2 or Link 4, probably, or not Link 4, or yeah, Link 4, because Raise Valgar is a Link 3. So we will see him go for the Shureg, and Shureg is going to banish the Sting Lancer here. Now, Cicada King does have, I think, 2,500 defense, so he will have to attack over it here since he's opting not to banish it with the Shureg. So he'll attack over with the Shureg over the Cicada King, and then Farragut will hit in for 16 direct, dropping his opponent down to 64. And then we're going to see him go for a Link 3 here into the, what is this one? Rugal. Yeah, and then we'll see Shureg effect activate going for the DD Crow. So opting not to search follow-up here, but going for Interruption. And also getting the Farragut draw here. It looks like he drew into Nibiru, so now he's got to kind of choose whether or not he wants to keep the Nibiru and get rid of the Crow, or keep the Crow and get rid of the Nibiru. I honestly think the Nibiru is way higher impact against Beetrooper than DD Crow is, but our Tri-Brigade player might not be super familiar with how this deck functions, as I don't know. I mean, well, to be fair, we had a lot of Beetroopers at our locals like many months ago, so you might remember what the deck is capable of. But of course, he also knows he has the field spell, which is a Monster Reborn, which the Crow will trade with and put him on top deck at that point. And it looks like he did top. I almost said decide to top deck, like he had a choice. Looks like he does top deck the Doom Dozer, which is basically like a Dragon Ruler for insects. Banish 2 to summon it from the grave, and it comes out at 2,800. And if it deals battle damage to an opponent, it can make him mill the top card of his deck. And we're going to see Rugal activate here to revive the Kit. He will run over the Rugal here and not the Kit. He will allow his opponent to mill a, not a Turquoise Warbler, but a Cobalt Sparrow to the grave. And now he just has Warbler Sparrow. I think that was an insane top deck there. Yeah, unfortunate. You're really just hoping he doesn't mill that card and then also draw Warbler on top of that. I mean, they were both a very, top deck situation. He did get the Kit back too, so I guess it didn't really matter so much. But yeah, pretty interesting game one there. We're going to see then go to game 2. Beetrooper will opt to go first. We're going to see him normal summon Resonance Insect, special summon Pin effect to go ahead and burn for 200, and then we're going to see him link off into the Armor Horn, and he'll go ahead and get the effect of the Resonance Insect here to add, I think that was, not sure what Beetrooper monster that was. It might have been Heavy Beetrooper Mighty Neptune. I think that might have been what it is. And then we're going to see him additional normal, I believe, into the Sting. Or it might have been Arbalest. I was looking up at my other screen when he did that. But either way, Link 2 into Pico, and then on summon, we are going to see Nibiru. Yeah, seemingly a pretty good choke point there, at least for a lot of these hands. But I imagine he could probably still extend past it, since he does have Armor Horn engraved alongside Resonance Insect, which Armor Horn does have a graveyard effect, where it can special summon itself from the graveyard by banishing 3 insects, and that's going to go ahead and trigger the Resonance effect to go ahead and send. And then I think he's sending Goki Pole here, and Goki Pole is a great card for removal, so he's going to go ahead and summon out Killer Needle. Shout out to Partho. So Killer Needle is going to go ahead and pop, basically. Well, it's not Killer Needle, obviously it's a vanilla, but with the combination of Goki Pole, we can go ahead and pop it since its stats are as low as it is. Then get rid of the Nibiru, which would have been, I don't want to say super problematic for the deck, but yeah. And also putting that Nibiru in grave will allow him to summon the Sting Lancer, getting him a search of Fly and Sting, which is basically the searchable counter trap for the deck. And he's going to link climb into the Seraphim, Papillon, and then go ahead into the Invincible Atlas. And then Atlas effect will tribute off the Sting Lancer to go ahead and summon out the Light Flapper. And this card is a normal special summon. You can target 2 of your Beetrooper monsters with different names that are banished or in your graveyard, add them to your hand. For the rest of them, you can activate their effects or the effects of cards with their names. Kind of a heavy restriction there. Just recycling some cards back to the hand. I think getting back the Sting Lancer too, so we'll have that as a bit of pseudo interruption and follow up during the opponent's turn. So we know Fly and Sting is set, and I think Rivalry as well I could see in his hand. And we're going to see a copy of Bird Call get activated here, chaining Cosmic Cyclone, and then chaining Forbidden Droplet, sending off both the Cosmic and the Bird Call to go ahead and negate and have the Light Flapper and the Invincible Atlas. Yeah, I mean, hitting that rivalry there's got to hurt. You were kind of hoping he didn't hit that, like literally hit anything else. But it is a 50-50 at the end of the day. I mean, a rivalry, an unanswered rivalry here would have been, I want to say, like game. Yeah, but he did have Cosmic, right? So even if he would have waited for him to, like, even if he played into the rivalry, he had Cosmic to, like, save the day, honestly. So we're going to see Warbler into Nerval. And then looks like we're going for a rank 1 here instead of a Link play. Probably feeling this is the safer play into the unknown back row. I mean, I guess at this point it's definitely not unknown. You know it's Flying Sting. So I guess this is like the safest way to actually go ahead and play around it. Since Warbler or Assembled Nightingale here does not play into that kind of card. Because it's not activating. It really doesn't have a way to interact with it unless you use the on-field effect, but there's no need to. So he'll be able to swing in twice at 800 directly. And then go into a 4-material Zeus. He'll activate Zeus here in the main phase 2. I mean, you really don't have a choice to, not negate this. You definitely have to use Flying Sting here 100%, or else you just, go super minus and lose the whole board. And since Flying Sting is a counter trap, yeah, you cannot respond and chain there. I think our Beetrooper player forgetting that. I think he was just expecting to get to Zeus the second time response, but again, it is a counter trap. So he cannot be able to respond there unless he has like another counter trap basically, or something that says specifically it can respond, but it's just got to be a counter trap. So I remember a long time ago there's a trap card called Counter Counter that was printed as a normal trap that said it could negate the activation of a counter trap. But mechanically it never made sense because it wasn't a counter trap. So like how could that even work? But I think they eventually changed it. I think that's like one of the few times there was a card that was printed with the incorrect symbol. I don't know, maybe if you guys know any other cards that were misprinted and not needed to be eroded text-wise, but just like what type of card it was to begin with. That's the only example I can think of. But still playing through the board here, has Karass to keep going here. It's only, like I said, it's the normal summon, it's the Karass. The deck really has just those 2 lines of play, but, with the bird stuff being in there too, it definitely gives it a little bit more power, and I think, at least from what I saw, one of my friends, Colin, was playing this deck for a good while, especially even after this deck kind of got hit very hard in the ban list, Starling going to 1 and the Simor getting banned, right? A lot of people abandoned this version of the deck. They went to try branded while, Anaconda was still legal. But, Tri-Lyrilusc still a very good deck, even without those cards. I feel like people were maybe too quick to jump the gun in the deck, and I did see a lot of success with the Tri-Lyrilusc deck, even post-ban list, and it just gives that deck a little bit of extra something it needs to keep going through interruptions. So we're going to see him get into a Shureg. It's going to clear the Invincible Atlas, and then link into a copy of Farragut here, and then we'll go ahead and get to search off of the Shureg for a copy of Fractal acting as follow-up here, or he could even just special summon it off the Farragut and apply more pressure, possibly go for a double Dragon Lords, could possibly go for a Appaloosa here, not entirely sure. But we'll just see what he decides to make. He will commit the Fractal to the field, has still plenty of names in graveyard here, and has definitely a way to go for Revolt here. It's just the hand advantage. I don't really think he has a hand right now, so that makes things a little weird. You need to be able to have a card in hand first to be able to, like, keep your draw from Farragut if you want to, or even keep your Revolt, because you do have to bottom a card after you go for any of those things. So he will go for the double Dragon Lords, and the Light Flapper, I believe, has 2200 defense, so won't be able to get over that with anything on field currently. Double Dragon Lords at 16, same with Farragut, and Fractal at 19. But he can bounce it, so that's what he will do. So he'll tribute off the Farragut, bounce it, draw a card, immediately put it back. So still ending on 1 interruption. And then we're going to see our Beetrooper player here in the end phase activate the Sting Lancer to go ahead and shuffle 2 back to the bottom. and then go ahead and on summon get that search of follow-up here. Really good card Sting Lancer is. I think it's like honestly one of the best extenders in the entire deck. It's technically interruption against a decent amount of decks that especially rely on things in the graveyard, or decks that, you know, have effects that will target a monster in the grave that they're trying to reborn or add back to hand, and Sting Lancer can just kind of mess up those plans. On top of searching follow-up, like we're seeing here. So we're going to see him draw for turn. I think he drew Descent, which is the token extender for the deck. And we're going to see him go battle phase here, it looks like. Trying to force out the double Dragon Lords as early as possible. But, I mean, I think he does have formation and the spell, the token generator here. But looks like he knows his opponent's probably going to just bounce it anyway. So why not go ahead and get the Sting Lancer effect off a second time? Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Just bouncing the... I mean, bouncing the Sting Lancer here honestly did his opponent more good than it did harm, and I don't think our Tri-Lyrilusc player necessarily realized this at the point, because like if you're going over double Dragon Lords with the Sting Lancer, like you're still losing the double Dragon Lords either way, and then he still has the body, but in the route where you bounce it in that world, like you're also just giving him another card on top of that. And you're also losing another card in your graveyard, which is also like problematic for Tri-Lyrilusc. They want to keep names in circulation. So he's just gonna be able to continue to extend here, going for Armor Horn, Tribute Summoning for the Light Flapper, adding back some names. And then he's gonna go ahead and use the field spell to revive one from the grave, and go for Papillon again, which is a card that I don't really remember its effect offhand, but I know it does have a revival effect by removing counters. And it can go ahead and revive an insect from the grave, and this is the important interaction here, is basically being able to revive Sting the Poison to search Arbalest, which is follow-up. And now you also have to worry about the Sting the Poison being a bit of interruption on the opponent's turn as well, because it is a monster negate. So it looks like we're going to see him activate Fractal's effect, which can again also be activated on field. And then we're going to see him chain an Infinite Impermanence in hand to go ahead and negate the Sting. So we'll not have to worry about that interruption here. And then we're going to see Fractal go ahead and dump the kit. And just keeping an eye on how many names he has engraved, because we still know that the Sting Lancer is in hand, since I think it was added back off of Light Flapper. So we'll dump Kit, dump Nerval effect, go ahead and add back Fractal. Has not committed a normal summon yet. And one Fractal could potentially do a lot here. So we're going to see him go ahead and activate the on-field effect to go ahead and banish. And I'm not sure what the hold-up here is, because the Sting is negated. So I don't really see a point of interaction here, because obviously the Tri-Brigades don't target the cards they're banishing for cost. You just kind of pay the cost. It's not like you can chain Sting Lancer here to make this fizzle, although if it worked like that, Sting Lancer would be insane in this matchup. But it is going to resolve here. He will go ahead and banish 4 for the Shurig play. This can get him into Farragut plus a search, which is nice. And since he does have a lot of banished names, he can search probably pretty much anything in the entire deck right now. That is a Beast Warrior, Wing Beast. He's going to banish the Papillon, so that can be an extender by removing counters. And then we're going to see him go ahead and link 2 into the Farragut, activating Omen effect to go ahead and search. And looks like he's looking at the Warbler, or the Sparrow. Possibly going for some Lyrilusc cards, but it looks like he is going to go for the Tri-Brigade kit, which he's not used the on-field effect yet. So he will go ahead and special summon the kit with Farragut. And then we're going to see him activate the Sting Lancer in hand, shuffling back a name in both players' graves. And it looks like he will not have any gas left in grave to keep going there. So the Tri-Lyrilusc player just going to admit defeat, and we are into a Game 3 situation. We're going to see Tri-Lyrilusc lead with Bird Call, and that will get ashed again. We're going to see our opponent still start with the Warbler. So I guess ashing there was pretty strong, because if you've been able to search Sparrow, Warbler Sparrow is a hell of a drug. So, I mean, kind of got lucky there that he didn't already have the name in hand. I mean, I feel like ashing this deck can be tricky, but also at the same time, there's really not a lot of fantastic points to ash. Outside of just ashing, right, they normal summon like a Kit, for example, and then link it to Almirage. Kit effect, you know, you want to ash that, just put him on Havoc Center. But Bird Call is also a pretty insane card, too, so we're going to see him go for Farragut, into Kit, into Double Dragon Lords, and we're going to see him link all of those away for an Appaloosa here. Interesting, or unless that's a Bear Brum he made instead of a Double Dragon Lord. I would imagine Bear Brum makes a bit more sense here, but I think he's just using... He might not even be using Bear Brum effects. Unless that's Double Dragon Lords engraved. I just am blind. Okay, it is Bear Brum. I was going to say. It didn't look like he was using it, but he might have just been, you know, 1 through 3, etc. So he will go ahead and get to search the Revolt, put one back, and Farragut. I think he didn't use Farragut. He might have just used the Bear Brum and then the Kit. But 3 material Appaloosa with Revolt set, like the classic board basically, and then we're gonna see an evenly match here for Beetrooper, and that's gonna force the Revolt. Revolt will resolve, summoning back 3. Trying to play around the Nibiru here, because you can play into Nibiru, going for the Rugal, and then just banishing the Rugal. Doing this mainly just to get the graveyard effects off here. You want to get the Farragut off, you can get the Kit off, right? Kit's going to go ahead and dump the Nerval. Nerval's going to go ahead and add Fractal. And then he will go ahead and use the effect of Farragut. Looks like he will not use the effect of Farragut. You probably just want to keep that in hand. And then we're going to see Pin get negated by Appaloosa, and that'll just basically be it for our Beetrooper player's turn here. Not much you can do into that Appaloosa. It is a very, very strong card. Pretty much just an extra deck floodgate on legs that can just be sometimes just game ending if you don't have some form of monster negation in the form of a spell or trap. I mean, the card folds to Imperm, but you've got to have Imperm because otherwise it's definitely just trading with 3 things. Or taking your battle phase, but since you already use evenly, right, that's not an option. Then we're going to see him just summon the Fractal, go for Shurig. Shurig's going to banish the Resonance Insect. That's going to activate its effect. They'll use another negate there from Appaloosa. And then he does have 349, 5,700 damage on board as is. Looks like not opting to swing in just yet. Going to go ahead and link off the Omen and the Fractal for a copy of Farragut. Omen effect to go ahead and search. Searching for Kit. And now has Farragut on board to use as an extender. So we'll go ahead and special summon the Kit. And then we're going to see him probably go ahead and banish 2 here, possibly for a Double Dragon Lords. Getting, I think, maybe a little bit more damage here. Because now has 16 and 16 from Farragut and from DDL, plus 700, plus 800. So I think this might be a little bit more damage. We'll see him get dropped down to 33. Not enough for game, but still has, you know, a decent amount of interruptions on field. Still has the Apple for 1 material. Still has the DDL and 1 card set, which could be like an Imperm. We're going to see him summon Assault Roller, which is again another new piece of support. I mean, technically not new anymore, but we're gonna see him just bounce it back with the DDL and put him on have more extenders that can get past Appaloosa, and that is gonna be the match. We're gonna see Tri-Lyrilusc take it 2-1 over Beetrooper, and yeah, last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members who are Twitter0226, Pony Stark, Cadillacs84, Justin Lamb, and HZH Cyber. Thank you guys so much as always for showing me kind and generous support.